Contemporary cinema has evolved to become an entity that reflects social ideologies and cultural narratives. This plays a fundamental role in providing representations of events and cultures. It also largely controls stereotypical portrayals of society. Today, I will be analysing the film Precious to demonstrate the racial stereotypes still evident in modern cinema. It is imperative to examine one of the root causes of inauthentic portrayals of black women in cinema, large multinational media entities such as News Corporation International. Concentrated forms of media ownership permeate into the political agenda of events documented and portrayed, which creates an elite culture of oppression through the systematic portrayals of oppressive political and cultural ideologies. These factors essentially influence inauthentic media representations of black women in cinema, which systematically other black women into stereotypes within film. Images of black women in cinema are repeatedly limited to the mammy, matriarch, welfare queen, and overly sexualized Jezebels. The exclusion of a narrative that portrays representations outside of these stereotypes in cinema limits the understanding and recognition of black women. This notion is evident in the film Precious, a film about a black woman of size and her life in poverty and abuse. The film portrays Precious as a teenager who repeatedly fantasizes herself as a thin white woman with blonde hair, as a means of imagined escapism from her abusive life in poverty. This juxtaposition essentially upholds the Eurocentric standards of beauty as the ideal norm, thereby also upholding women of colour to a standard that actively excludes them. The form of cinema is inauthentically utilized to depict the projections of society that Precious is represented to aspire toward, purely as a means of bettering her own life as a darker-skinned black woman of size. Consequently, cinema as a form of media is utilized to exhibit and portray black women as agents who aspire toward Eurocentric and Caucasian privileged standards of existence. This fundamentally brings into question the politics of space in film, as representations of black women are dictated by patriarchal Western influences who largely decide how, where, and when black women are represented in cinema. This is demonstrated through the portrayal of Miss Weiss, a lighter-skinned black woman and a social worker for Precious. Miss Weiss is portrayed as a savior who takes interest into Precious's life and struggles, and it can be interpreted that she systematically upholds the racist ideals of colorism. The film routinely depicts darker-skinned black women as impoverished, dependent, and in need of being rescued, while all representations of freedom and redemption from poverty are represented through a Eurocentric gaze or a lighter-skinned black woman. The film represents white, heteronormative, middle-class society as the accepted and aspired to representative norm. Ultimately, cinema as a media form is once again utilized to portray the racist colorism evident in the struggle of black women and consequently other darker-skinned black women. Thus, it can be argued that cinema as a media form provides unbalanced economic and racial interpretations of black women, which cyclically facilitates their continued oppression. Cinema consequently embodies the political and social structures of black women, therefore portraying a narrative that fails to provide a balanced representation and rendering black women almost invisible.